Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager 23, episode 95. This is going to be the final episode of the series. Of course, F1 Manager 24 is right around the corner, barely a week away from release. Apparently, it's a good time to bring the series to an end, regardless, because there might not be another season. Remember, it's been a year and a half since we brought Tanaka on board. It's been many years since Florsch was brought on board, but with the double female lineup this season, we've underperformed. We've had arguably the best car on the grid, but barely. Very, very tight grid. All of the cars have been very good, 1st to 10th, and as a result, it's really come down to driver, and we just have not had the competitive bunch. The top 10 in the standings have been the 10 drivers that all have a 90 plus overall rating, and we just have not been able to compete with that consistently. We've barely cracked the points, and entering the final race of the year, the board we were at medium confidence a handful of races ago. They've lost confidence entering this last race, and here is why. The race performances have been really bad. We have only met expectations once in the last 10, and that was Monza, where we scored points the last time. Objectives from last year helped keep us going. No debt has helped keep us going, but the last couple of races, dropping from 9th to 10th, dropping from 8th to 9th hurt, but dropping from 9th to 10th is what's really done us in for this one. This is also the year that we're supposed to have a deadline for being a podium contender, and that's not been the case. We very nearly did it a year ago. We had 4 podiums or something like that before making the switch. We were really knocking them out quickly and would have succeeded in doing so, and then we brought Tanaka into the race seat, and we're in a bad way, and it looks like we would be losing our job at the end of the season regardless.
The season draws to a close here with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. A long season has led us around the world over all this year's races to get here. The last chance to settle the season in the final round. Anything could happen. It's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we are racing one final time in F1 Manager 23. We qualified on the back row lockout. We were a quarter of a second slower than anybody else. Both drivers neck and neck with one another, but Pourchaire picks up some sort of penalty. He DNF'd last race, so I'm assuming he had to take new components, and ends up at the back of the grid starting from last place, which is really tough when Alpine is chasing the Constructors' title today. But Ocon has also done poorly. He starts from 14th, gives a real chance. Sonoda, if he wins the race, if Verstappen finishes second, that's not going to be enough. It's going to take more than that for Alpine to take the Constructors away from Red Bull. Red Bull won the championship last year, but lost the Constructors to Ferrari. This year it's Alpine with a real shot at it, and Alpine has already, as we just phased through a driver there, Florsch up to 17th ahead of Piastri, who had backed off. Not much to race for here. We underfueled by 1 lap. We're going to go with a 2-stop strategy for both drivers, and Tanaka's going to need to settle in sooner rather than later, probably at the end of Sector 2. Especially she's already last, but she's already more than a second down. We'll go ahead and settle in early, I guess, based on that. She's closed it back down, actually, so there you go. She did. This Sector 3, she's losing a second. A second lost in Sector 3 for Tanaka. Florsch, meanwhile, 17th. Time to settle in for her as well. And there's some things I want to do post-race within this episode, so I'm planning on taking this race fairly quickly. I do not think we're going to be competing for points, but Florsch is up to P16. But if we're a quarter of a second off the pace of even the slowest cars, I don't think it's going to be a competitive run for terribly long, but we'll see what happens. Flourish re-overtakes Hadjar, and there's a crash in the field. It's ahead of us. We had just gotten back within 1 second. Albin is involved, along with an Alfa Romeo. It's definitely good for us. That's a destroyed wing for Albin and problems for the Alfa Romeo. It's Maloney down to last place. Definitely good outcome for us, but Tanaka already 3.5 seconds behind anybody else. Flourish had gotten within that 1 second, but loses it in the aftermath of the accident. So we're chasing Sainz and Drugovich right now. Albin gets the penalty. I suppose he was not close enough alongside to be entitled to the space, therefore should have tucked in. And Flourish somehow gets the DRS. Good race for Flourish so far, 15th. But what is the strategies we are seeing out there? This explains a lot. It's a whole lot of medium runners, not too many on the softs. Get up alongside the Mercedes of Sainz. Pushing on, having DRS. Again, pushing on. Took the long way around. Still in position. And complete the overtake. 14th. Drugovich slipping out of DRS range. Perfect target. If he can just miss DRS and then we can slingshot him, we could get into DRS. We get the DRS. He gets the DRS as well. So no overtake here. Going full attack. Going for the overtake. Can we get alongside? Oh gosh, no. Drugovich got such a nice run there. Back off. We'll wait for another opportunity later on, but currently sitting in P14, and Piastri's out of DRS range. Sainz is suddenly out of DRS range. Tanaka and Maloney are well behind. Right now things are looking really good in this final race. Can we score some points? Does it save the job going into next season? I'm curious about it. Not that it matters, right? This is the final episode no matter what. But I still am curious. We've got Sainz out of DRS range. I'm hoping to push that. Make sure. I don't think we're going to actually contest the position. That's why we're just using a little tire emphasis. But yeah, it's out to 1.9. Nearly 2 seconds ahead. We're going to fall below that 62% or below that 60% threshold fairly soon though and start to lose some pace. It's going to be more about keeping up. Oh, Drugovich is also on the softs. And Ocon. Porsche slingshots Sainz and nearly gets within DRS range, pulling the pair back up. Porsche coming from last place. So as much as Flourish has made some really good progress in this race so far, Porsche is doing the same, has already left Sainz out of DRS range and has caught us on his forward progress. Meanwhile, in that constructors battle here in this final race, Tsunoda still sits second right behind Russell, 2.5 seconds ahead of Stroll. Verstappen is fourth. The other Red Bull of Ocon is 12th, and Porsche is the one who's moving forward. Ocon has gained 2 positions since the start of this race. We sit where he started the race, and Flourish and Porsche seem to be the biggest movers right now in the grid. Porsche, one of the quickest drivers out on track right now. Tanaka's actually quicker than Flourish right now. Drugovich slipping out of DRS range. That would be a real opportunity for Flourish to go forward. Porsche is all over the back of us though. Attack mode. Deploy. Perfect position. DRS. Come on, go, 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 go. We've got less than half a lap to get in range, and we're at 0.9. Porsche has followed us through. Drugovich is down to 15th. And backing off there. We have closed it up. So we've gained 1 position. Now 13th! There you go. Okay. We're done. We're freaking done.
We've got a yellow flag here.
That was entirely on Flourish, I think.
So we're heading now into turn 5. and you can see how tight it is. And the impact on the car,
It is. It's 100% on Flourish.
Now their confidence
Double
will have taken a hit
collision.
with that.
Red flag, all 3 cars out. Ocon, Gasly, Flourish, you are welcome. Alpine, you are welcome. We have taken out your rival.
After a pause in this race, we are all set and ready once more.
All right, we're about to go restart the racing, and Tanaka is right back where she was, ahead of Maloney, ahead of now the 3 cars out. Flourish picking up the penalty that would carry over into next season. Tanaka overtaking Piastri off the line. We're on the hards. It was almost time to pit. A lot of cars, wow, surprisingly. Piastri, Drugovich, Leclerc, they're all going to end up having to pit. You can't go softs hards from here. It's just not going to work very well. They might try it. And a few going mediums, probably switching to hards. Albon's still carrying the penalty. Tanaka right back in 16th. I don't expect her to do anything. She has one weaker component than what Flourish had, but only a single. Everything else was the same. It was the last race. I wasn't spending money on. Lap 20 of 58. Verstappen in the lead with Tsunoda just behind, but Pourchaire continues the forward progress. Now 9th position, virtually ahead of Albon with the penalty there. So continually gaining points. Tsunoda and Verstappen battling it out. If Tsunoda can beat Verstappen, that's plus 7 points. And if Pourchaire can get up into, I don't know, 3rd or 4th, I think that would be enough. I think that would be enough. We have a VSC coming out. Sainz, the Aston Martin, same incident. Oh, this is the same incident. 3 cars involved. Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, and the Mercedes. Same thing that Flourish did, but not a red flag, just a VSC. But that is 6 cars out of this race. We are down to 14 running. 14 running. Do I have... No, it's a VSC. But do I have... I do not have 2 sets of mediums. Will a soft medium run do it? I'm going to get off these hards. We're going to go to the mediums. We'll run them as long as we can, and then we'll run the softs to the end. We will still have one more pit stop, which we would have had anyway, but we are going to save time on this one, and should, with softs and mediums, be faster, because Tanaka is off pace, period. She is slower than everybody else, especially on the hards. On the softs and mediums, she seems to keep up a little bit better. Albon's still carrying that penalty. We have a real opportunity. Sainz, Ted, a 2nd penalty. Major collision caused. I don't know if Flourish also got the same. She might have. Piastri runs wide under the safety car conditions. Good thing we took out Ocon also. Flourish, right? We are battling the head-to-head for the... slow stop. Really slow stop. 2.624. We were battling Red Bull for the fastest pit stop award. That's the one thing we actually are competing for, because I don't think we're actually competing for points, but being in 14th is definitely helping us. But there's what we're up against right now as we come back out on track, and we've got some ground to cover. But brand new mediums and going to softs at the end, we are hoping to be faster than Hadjar, faster than Piastri, faster than Maloney, faster than Drugovich, and Albon having issues, plus damage if he didn't replace the wing, or if he replaces the wing later, additional time lost, plus the penalty lost. There is still the smallest of chances for a P9. It's not looking good right now. We're way behind, but we were already behind and falling further behind. So it's worth a shot, it's worth the gamble, it's worth the risk. We go green again, nearly halfway into the race, and we have a VSC immediately after. This is a big opportunity. Let's go. Who's out of the race? Tsunoda is out of the race. That's one more. That's Alpine, though. That's Alpine at the front of the field.
Yuki Tsunoda? Here's the replay. Now this was at turn
That was
1.
your driver's champion.
There's clear contact there. Now, I imagine
Didn't take out Verstappen. He needed to for that constructors. Now Alpine's in trouble. Red Bull's going to win the constructors. It's not mathematically guaranteed yet, but it looks pretty assured. Tanaka now 13th. Drugovich pits. Comes out 9 seconds ahead of us. Puts on the hards. Might try to go the distance. I think he might try to go the distance in those. Tons of fuel. Nothing left to race for, and we are closing the gap quickly to Drugovich. We've gained 3 seconds. So both Aston Martins are out of the race. We will finish ahead of one team today, so it won't be last. But to do more, nobody in the vicinity. Maloney is the only one who we're now ahead of as he pits. He is the only competitor around us that would have us beat another team. With Piastri pitting, that brings 2 Haas's almost into range. We come out just behind Piastri. Like just behind. In fact, he slowed us up, squeezed us off. But now should drag us forward as Albon pits. Finally goes to serve his penalty. Everybody who's pitting is coming out on hards. We're going to be on softs. We are going to be on softs, but we're going to be behind. That's going to be difficult to make up some ground here. We've caught Maloney. Speed up for a little bit, get within that 1 second. We are currently running 11th, but we have to pit again. We are not the only ones who still have to pit. Plenty of the field is getting down to that lower stage, but how many of them are going to actually pit? 50%, they might try to go the distance. Hadjar pits. It is not that far behind us, and we have got to pit soon. Let's see, our softs might make about 15 laps. We've got 16 to go. So we are going to pit in, I'd say, maybe 2 more laps. Russell, Stroll, both pit. So a lot of those hard runners who did the same thing I did are pitting before the end of this. We're at 15 laps to go. 15 laps to go. Where are we at? Okay, we're going to pit this lap. And Tanaka down pit road. Final time this season. It's going to drop us to last place, but that's still only 13th. 2-3-3-2. Much better stop. Could and should be the fastest on the day. As things stand, Porsche is 4th. Verstappen is 6th. Porsche, they've already done their pits. Magnussen and Norris are the only ones that I would think might pit of the entire grid. I think they are it. But we have a 15-second gap to anyone as we head out for this final stint. And that is the problem that I do not think we're going to be able to overcome. Definitely gaining ground as we get within 14 seconds. We have another VSC. Somebody's going out. It's Norris. Has he taken anyone with him? He's got lots of traffic around him. Please, oh please. Please, oh please. Nope. That's a solo crash. 12 cars running. And we still aren't going to score points. Tanaka has never scored a point. This is by far the closest she has ever been. This is going to help her make the run to the end. But she's got so much ground to cover to get to a Piastri and Albon ahead of us. To get to a Hadjar. Those are the ones we're aiming for, and they are definitely in that closer range, but yowzer. Catching them is not going to be easy, and all of these VSCs just hold things up and prolong tires, but for us that's a good thing. But it gives us less time to catch up. And we are further behind than we were, so the timing of the VSC hurt Tanaka significantly. She lost 2 to 3 seconds for where she was, meaning probably everybody ahead of her had already gone down the straight, and she's in the corners at the time. All right, safety car comes to an end, and she's out to an 18-second gap. It's even worse. So, again, the restart zone is in such a position where she loses additional ground and ends up at 19 seconds down. So she went from 15.7 to 19 from the moment the VSC came out to the moment the VSC ended. She's got it down to 13.5 already. She's got it down to 13.5, but I don't know, that's 6 additional seconds that she somehow lost, or 5 really, 5 seconds that she lost. I don't think she's going to overcome that. I do not think she's going to overcome that. Her chances are these 3. Hadjar, softs, but down to 60%. Chasing Piastri, Albon, Maloney, and Drugovich. Maybe, just Maybe. We've got a Ferrari 1-2 with Porsche in third, Verstappen fourth. For Alpine to win that Constructors, it's going to 100% without a doubt take a win from Porsche. And then I'm not even sure if you can have Verstappen in the points for it to even matter with it down to one car each. I don't think they can overcome that. 12.5 seconds. Running out of time. Running out of laps. If it was at 6, I'd feel like we have a chance. As lap 54 begins, we've brought it down to under 10 seconds. We are getting closer and closer. Albon is carrying damage, and it's maybe 8.5 seconds. But again, if we were 2.5 seconds down right now, if we were 3 seconds down right now, I'd feel like there's a chance. We're about to drop below that 60%. Right? It's going to be real hard to do something right now. We're coming up on 3 laps for us to go in this one. And there you go. 3 laps to go in the season. 6.5 seconds behind. Full attack. Just go back to aggressive. We seem to be faster aggressive than we are full out. What do we have? Tactics. We lost 6 seconds under that VSC. We lost 6 seconds under that VSC. We would be right there with Piastri and Albon right now, battling for 10th with a lap and a half left. We would be. We would have a chance at it. Folks, if we didn't get screwed on that VSC, I think Tanaka would have had a real shot. Remember, she's decent at overtaking. She's terrible at defending, which is why last race she went backwards when she was in that traffic and ended up at the back of the group. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. That's all that's in it. She lost more than that on that VSC. Tanaka might have finished 11th once this season, I think. But this is it. Leclerc wins ahead of Russell, Stroll, Porsche, and then Verstappen. That's Constructors for Red Bull confirmed. 4 seconds down now. 4 seconds. Gap-wise, it was enough. Gap-wise, it would have been enough, but it's not like we've had any luck this season. Have we had luck once? I'm not sure. All those cars out of the race. And then we end up with a bad luck moment to stop us from getting in the points. Tsunoda, confirmed drivers champion. Verstappen second, Ocon, Norris, and Leclerc. Florsch ended up 16th with 9 points. Drugovich picking up 6 today. There's somebody who had the luck and was in the right place to capitalize. Not just luck, right? But Tanaka, the only driver in the field to not score points this season. Even Logan Sargent in the Aston Martin had 2. Pierre Gasly in the Aston Martin had 8. The weakest car. All 10 cars were close to being competitive to one another, to being on the same par, but the Aston Martin was still a step below, right? Today, how things are, okay, we've noticed of late, some people, very, very silly people in my opinion, think that the Red Bull is no longer the fastest car. It's still the fastest car. It is still the fastest car. But the McLaren, the Mercedes, and the Ferrari are all close now. Red Bull's still number 1. But we now have 4, or really 3. Ferrari has not really been up there of late. But, I mean, Leclerc did win Monaco. Right track, right circumstances. There's 4 cars rotating. But then it falls off, right? There's definitely a second tier of car. Well behind, not competing for a win. Aston Martin is that second tier. Behind, not competing for a win. But here, with how close the cars are, they're very capable of competing for 4th place in real life, right? If we're talking about second tier. That car here, inserted there. It's not in that first tier, it's not in that first group, but it's in that next group, and it's absolutely comparable. But they have a weak driver in one, and the top 10 in the points are the drivers that are 90 plus. Ocon's fallen off to an 89. He was a 90. He was an exact 90. So we now have 9 drivers. Interesting. That's changed. Zane Maloney. I mean, right? Alfa Romeo, it's not that they had a good car, it's that they had a driver who's got an 89 rating. It was dragging it forward, but actually he wasn't even... No, there you go. See, there's why Alfa Romeo was doing good. A 91 and 89 driver. The 91 got 64 points. 89 got 17. They probably have the ninth best car, I would say. They just happen to have the drivers that really, really give it that little bit more, eke out the performance. And I don't have those drivers. And when the cars were so close... Anyway, we know that by now, right? Let's get some aftermath stuff. Red Bull, Alpine, Mercedes... Stayed on 500. No points for Mercedes today. Both DNF'd, right? But the finals in the championships, Alpine gained 2 points, but that was way too much. It was still, 36 points? So, yeah, it would have required both drivers getting to the finish on that one. Ferrari ends up getting to 400. They had a 1-2, didn't they? Yes. They got near maximum points, just their second win of the year, and they get to that nice round number of 400, that landmark number. McLaren ended up at 289. Alfa Romeo beats AlphaTauri in the Battle of the Alphas for 6th, which is very much beta when you consider the Alphas at the head of the grid, but sure. Haas getting the 6 additional points, giving 25 for the season. That's what I was hoping to compete for. I was hoping to have 20 to 30 points this season. It was not to be, and Aston Martin gets 9th and we get 10th. And some really, 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 really bad luck along the way. In the points, taken out. Aston Martin get the points instead, jump us in the standings. Here, we've got somebody running really, really well, hardly making a mistake for years, and then she goes and wipes out 3 cars. Setting up an opportunity for our other driver, who was having a terrible race, to do something bold and aggressive that's working out perfectly, to have a VSC not only take laps away from us to chase down other drivers, but to also cost us 5.5 to 6 seconds from time lost just from positioning on start end of VSC. That we then made up and got to within 4 seconds of the cars ahead of us. Yeah, and 4 seconds of the points. We do get the fastest pit stop comfortably. Red Bull, only 3rd, and no score for the other one. That's a 10-point gain. I think we were 15 down. No, we were 5! We were 5 behind! We did it! We got a victory of sorts. Consolation prize. I will take that one. 650 points in the fastest pit stop competition, and we get back on top on the final day. Hell yeah. Little thing, little victory, but I'll take it. Last stop, that's the extra stop too. So even though Tanaka couldn't get into the points, the extra stop pays off and gets us the fastest pit stop award. Funny thing is, we get a satisfied evaluation in that final one, but we are now also getting 2029 critical failure and critically failed on the podium contender. Even though we came really close to succeeding on that in a previous season, it still gives us a critical failure because this year we didn't do it. That's a strange one, right? We had 4 podiums in one season. That shouldn't be a critical failure. That's Alpine. That's been Renault's goal for years and years. They wanted to be podium contenders, and then they went and got a few podiums, and then they slipped back again, and then they're starting to move forward again this season after starting at the very back of the grid. But yeah, it's not looking too good. Final driver development update of the year, of course, post-race. Adaptability, +1 for Florish. Hooray! It's a 96. Didn't it go to 96 last month? I thought it did. Anyway, Tanaka, +1 to cornering. Definitely needs that. That's her weakness. +1 to braking makes her even quicker. +1 to adaptability doesn't help much, but she did get 2 points for pace, where Florish got literally nothing. As for Brunn, +1 to smoothness, very much something she needed, and reactions getting stronger. That's her weakest point. She's a quick driver. She just needs time and practice. She's going to be an F1 quality driver at some stage, one would think. Final pit crew numbers for the end of the year. We're looking at 91s before you get into the January reset. We're looking at a 2:33 estimated pit stop time. We were a 2:4 flat right now. And the car building part was down in the low 30s. We brought it up to a 45 this season. We left off with, I think, 90s and some 91s. So we did easily recover the pit crew attributes we lost last year. But we're going to have a new staff member for the coming season. I would expect it to be a little bit lower because the new staff member doesn't have a 100. They have an overall better rating, but it's a little more dispersed. We need to, or would need to, train them up. Remember, Bernard has that 100 for the training. It's perfect. And a 97 for the aptitude. That's the other primary one. And processes is a 96, but her leadership is way behind. So she's a 90 overall. The new hire, I think, is like a 92. But they have a high score in leadership. And a good score in other areas. Meanwhile, our technical chief, Romano, is now an 89 overall as she continues to develop. Gladys Cutter's an 86. We already saw recently Ava Moore becoming a 59, and Inger Thorderson, 65 for her. Those two definitely getting better than where they were. I mean, we were in the 40s and 50s when they started out. Of course, we are going to miss that 90 overall, but Alan Permain coming in, I think the team would be just fine. There is no female sporting director to replace her with. Not that it matters. Okay. Final month, let's get through it. I'm at 40 million right now, so we're looking really good there. Facilities, the factory is going to be done in 24 days right before the end of the year, and that is the final upgrade in the car development facility. Operations is done. Staff facility, it's down to just the scouting department. Level 3 is happening right now, so there would be 2 further levels to go. That'll be done in 11 days. In the research department, I did 2 chassis research projects, 3 front wing, heavily invested front wing research projects, 3 heavily invested rear wing projects, as those were the 2 parts that were being impacted the most. 2 side pod research projects, 2 underfloor research projects, and 1 on the suspension. That set of research projects, I think, will put the car in a really strong position to start the year. End of season review, beginning with our $12 million payout for the fastest pit stop award. We are at lost confidence. This is the worrying part. It's funny that we succeed at that and don't get a confidence boost from the board. Thorderson adds a point. Brunn adds a point. She's a 64 overall now. Florsch, okay, yeah, we know that. Tanaka, we know that as a team. Team rating is going to decrease for the coming year by a full star. Critically failed. Long-term objective failed. Team principal rating drops by 300 points. Team rating drops by 30 something. Board is lost confidence. But it doesn't say fired, does it? Nope. There it is. So we end on a goodbye note of it's time for somebody else to take over. We have failed in our mission. It looked like we were okay, or literally right up until the end. It was the in between Vegas and Yas Marina that this happened. They lost confidence literally going into the last race. And then what do we do in the last race? We go and satisfy the requirements for that race. We get fired anyway. Of course, everything leading up to it and what the overall goal for the season was, yeah, it was not achieved. It was not achieved. And how much better would it have been if we were 9th instead of 10th? If the Aston Martin debacle didn't happen there late in the season? I don't know. But with that being done, you know, we can restart the season, we can retry the last 5 races, or we can switch teams, or, you know, that's it. Quit to main menu. That'll be where it is. We don't know exactly where the car will fall into place because, you know, got fired. Got to put my belongings in the box and get on out of here. Thanks for sticking with me for this lengthy 95 episode F1 Manager 23 series. F1 Manager 24 coming out in just over a week, so can't wait for that one. We'll be back at it with a custom team starting from the bottom, trying to work our way up, and I think I might be going for a hybrid mission on this one. I think we might go for a minimum 50% female. We want a diverse team, not just all females. That's going to do it for this one, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.